In the forgotten village of Drellmore, nestled deep within the Carpathian forests, there stood a crumbling chapel no one dared approach after dusk. The air around it always seemed colder, even in summer. Its iron gates were sealed with rusted chains, and the crucifix above the doorway had long since fallen, split in two as if struck by. The villagers spoke in hushed tones about Father Lorien, the last priest to serve there. A man once devoted to God, who changed after a noble stranger arrived on a storm-swept night a century ago. The man had no name, only a crimson ring and a voice like silk draped in shadows. They said Father Lorien welcomed him into the chapel to seek shelter, and neither of them were ever seen in daylight again. Now, every few decades, someone disappears. A child gone from their bed, a hunter found pale and dry in the forest, livestock gutted with no blood spilled. And always, someone sees the chapel lights flicker, long-abandoned candles burning behind broken stained glass. 20-year-old Mirela had always dismissed the stories as village superstition. But when her younger brother vanished one night, his bed empty, window open to the forest breeze, she didn't wait for help. She followed the trail herself, the moon her only guide, until it led her to the chapel gates. The chains were broken. Inside, time was warped. Dust floated in the air like frozen snow, though there was no wind. The altar stood intact, draped in crimson velvet, and behind it was a throne that had no place in any house of God. A figure sat there, tall, gaunt, and regal, with eyes like dying stars and a smile too wide for any human face. "Welcome," the vampire said, his voice a whisper that echoed in her bones. He called himself Lorien now, no longer father, no longer man. The noble stranger had gifted him eternity, and in return, he offered the same to Mirela's brother. The boy stood beside him, alive, but not right. His eyes were empty. His smile didn't move his cheeks. "You came for him," the vampire said, "but you stayed for me." Mirela turned to flee, but the chapel door had vanished. The walls grew taller, the shadows darker, and unseen whispers began to chant a liturgy of hunger. Candle flames twisted into shapes, faces, claws, teeth. The vampire descended from the altar, and Mirela understood then. This place was not holy. It had become a sanctuary for the damned. He offered her the chalice, dark wine that was not wine. "Drink," he said, "or join the others in the walls." She ran, screamed, fought, but the chapel was alive, pulsing with ancient hunger. Hands clawed from the stone, pulling her down, and she felt her heartbeat slow as the vampire knelt beside her, stroking her hair like a lover. In the morning,